And we're live. Okay, guys, Ash from Engineer got us here with a new type of podcast. So Anime Cast. We don't know what the name is going to be. There's a lot of suggestions out there, but I will be your host today, the Pod Father, if you will, and we'll take along for a little drive and talk a little bit about this season's summer season anime, and maybe go into some of their offshoots. As always, going into side topics is always welcome. This is more of a talk show than anything. But first, let's go ahead and introduce everybody that's with me and anything they want to say about themselves or about them and their anime history. Somebody start.
I'm Blackstar. I've been on the Card Fight podcast or the Card Game podcast before. Yeah, there you go. There's my introduction.
Okay. Who else do we have with us?
Makuto, everyone's favorite waste player. You all know me.
Diesel's
Who's
over
that?
here. Diesel's over here questioning what a podfather is. I'm trying to figure out exactly.
You know what? Let's do this a little bit different. Let's say an interesting fact about yourself that everyone else may not know. Go.
My name's
There's fun.
Diesel, and I can make it sound like crickets.
Oh shit.
Okay,
This,
back to Blackstar. I can do the 3 starter Pokemon's voices from Charmander, Squirtle, Bulbasaur. Pretty good. Bulbasaur!
That's
wow.
pretty good.
Bulbasaur! Bulbasaur! Yeah. It's not the best, but whatever. Bulbasaur.
Okay. And Makuto, anything interesting about yourself?
No.
Makuto likes mermaids.
I like what?
Mermaids.
Oh, mermaids. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Boom.
And
Doesn't
Makuto,
like mermaids.
No, that's interesting.
Makuto, I was thinking about this recently. Are you gonna join my new hashtag, All Black Mermaids?
Is that a new podcast?
That's gonna be my new hashtag. It's gonna sweep the Vanguard Nation.
Sure, why not?
Cool.
What about Team Sexual Bears?
Okay.
Forgot about that.
Moving
Yeah.
on. Is it Inky or Vesporian? What do you want to be called?
I'll go with Inky.
All right, Inky. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Maybe an interesting fact.
Shoot. I didn't really write a script for this. Well, my name's Inky. I think I was in one or two of Boo's podcasts a while back. For Vanguard, I'm not really into it as much as I probably should be. Um, I'm in the Navy. I don't really have too many interesting things. I do like to crack a lot of jokes, so yeah. That's pretty much it.
Huh. Okay. And then Shade.
Alright, well, that introduction sucked. But, well, I'm Shay.
I agree.
And I guess an interesting fact that I can do, or a talent, is I can tie a knot in a cherry stem with my tongue, so.
Huh. Okay.
Pixar didn't happen.
Yeah, I guess that's really not that interesting, but an unknown fact about myself anyway. So everyone knows I like to collect a lot of things, but actually, since I started my current job, I started collecting neckties. So that's I don't know. I don't know why. It's just one of those things I just started doing.
Did you really need another item to collect? I mean,
Everybody has to have a hobby.
Wow, I can tell Makuto's driving. Okay, so our main topic today, guys, is going to be the summer season of anime. It's a lot of interesting shows. I personally think it is probably one of the better seasons of anime to have aired in a while. I'm always a proponent of the anime seasons not really getting worse or anything. but especially this season, I think that they've really outdone themselves with a lot of quality shows, and we see a lot of trends that are coming out with the way the type of shows. One of which being the return of what it seems like '90s era esque anime, or at least inspired heavily by '90s anime. And this could be, because we seem to have more seeming interest in that nowadays than we used to, or maybe because people are running out of new ideas on whatever you want to interpret it as. Uh, but anyway, going forward, let's. What I wanted just to do is mention maybe one or two shows that are airing this season, and start talking about it, and maybe a topic that has arisen from that. So, who wants to start with that?
I guess I'll go ahead and go because I'm gonna have to cut out early. I mean, fortunately, I really haven't been into as many series as I should have, but I started watching Gate. Can't really pronounce this really well. Jitai Kanouchi Nai Taku Tatakataberi. I might have butchered that to hell,
Oh
but
wow, that was bad.
Yeah.
yeah, poor. I mean,
Just say gate.
I want to say Gate, but I don't want people to think it's Steins Gate.
Jitai Kanochi Night. Just call it that.
Yeah. Okay, that works. So I started watching that, and it's what, about 8, 9 episodes in right now, and
What's
so
it about?
far, what was that?
What's it about?
Well,
What do you think?
it's about the pretty much the Japanese self-defense force, and since I'm in the military, I guess I kind of have a little bit of a hobby with watching a lot of military shows, but pretty much a bunch of fantasy. It's like a fantasy world almost, like a bunch of like Roman soldier-looking people. They come into the present-day world. And they just start like attacking willy-nilly, and the Japanese self-defense force fights them off in a pretty one-sided battle, as to be expected. And then they just they win. Then the governments of the world decide, hey, let's explore the world beyond this gate. So Japanese self-defense force goes in there, and they've been pretty much trying to communicate with the people beyond the gate. And as of the present episode, they've decided to bring some of the locals back into the Japanese world. So now it's starting to become more of like a culture thing, like like everybody's trying to see like who has what pretty much, and they're understanding each other a bit more. But there's also a lot of seems like there's a new like hidden enemy there too, because I guess they had to like get on some trains and stuff and avoid different going the normal route of things because people are supposedly chasing after them. Overall, I think the series is pretty so far pretty well done. It's not one of those series where I feel like I'm watching like 3 or 4 episodes of anime girls pretty much yelling like making those silly little noises and stuff. I know it's not a good comparison either, but
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
but I mean like I've noticed and I absolutely love a Log Horizon, but a good chunk of Log Horizon I noticed was just carrying on with like one person's past, and I was like, well, shoot, I can skip a couple episodes, magically catch up, and not have missed really anything. But so far, Gate hasn't had a made me feel like I need to do that. I find I'm able to watch every episode, and I always seem to come out of it like, oh, like the progress of the actual plot of the show has progressed. So I find that like every episode's really awesome to watch. One thing that had been brought up a while back, and I kind of studied the shows a little, I just kind of rewatched them. Somebody had made a remark about the first episode, and there's a scene where this dragon pretty much gets shot down by a helicopter, and I guess the complaint was is that the bullets wouldn't penetrate the armor on the dragon, like the actual scales and hide, which I feel that is up for
Like that.
it it might have been. It seemed like that was up for debate, but I kind of watched it. And later on, there was another episode where another dragon had appeared, but this one was a much bigger, much more thicker dragon, and so the ammo was actually bouncing off of that creature's hide. So I was like, okay. So I've noticed that, like, I guess in comparison, like certain dragons would have, I guess, a certain level of durability. Like it's how much can like the hides are going to be different. But the other thing I'd also noticed is that in that first episode, the dragon had got its wings pretty much shot to shit. So, by the way, I curse sometimes. Sorry. So the wings got shot up and everything. I was like, well, the wings are probably the most vulnerable part of a dragon, so that would make perfect sense. So that was one thing I had noticed and kind of figured out. Uh, Pretty much though, I do like how their political way the world is kind of going about this, because I was like, well, I'm expecting some unrealistic load of BS to just start randomly happening, but no, it's as expected. All the major powers of the world are kind of like observing. They're kind of taking that wait and see approach. Overall, though, the anime is pretty good. It doesn't seem like it's going to be unrealistic, but it hasn't gone too unrealistic. It's keeping a fantasy aspect while keeping a pretty realistic aspect, and I enjoyed that pretty much. But yeah, that's really the only anime I've been able to watch other than Log Horizon, and yeah, I'll go ahead and stop there.
All
Okay.
right.
Is there
Um,
wait, hold up. Is there a maybe a little? Is there any type of topic that anime may have like? Well, I have one for you, but that the anime kind of makes you think of that maybe talk a little bit about or anything.
I want to actually address this because I watched one episode of Game somewhere toward current. I haven't really gotten a chance to see the whole thing, but one of the things that I noticed about it was the one-sidedness of the battles you were talking about is a severe understatement. Like it is. I've heard the phrase "hurling pebbles at siege tanks," but this was absolutely ridiculous. Um, they were fighting humans and they just wrecked them because these humans had like metal armor and spears and they had straight helicopters and assault rifles and just massacred them. And the main princess character, I'm guessing, kind of came up with this notion that they were so outclassed that if the people from Japan just told them that they had to surrender the kingdom, she would, because there's no way that she could do anything about it. And I think that's a really interesting like tie-in to like the idea of fighting in like third world nations, like getting involved in international affairs when we clearly outclassed them firepower wise.
Well, that was actually kind of a funny concept too, because I mean, it made perfect sense. Like, I know that sounds weird, but like it made sense because yeah, they were literally clad in like you're going up against machine guns with swords, and unfortunately, warfare these days it's all about range. It seems like who can put the warhead on a forehead from the farthest distance.
Oh,
In
for
this
sure.
case, it just happens to be ammunition out of assault rifles or whatever into the skulls of these poor guys who only have probably some iron freaking armor. Uh, but at the same time, it kind of brings that question too, because I've been y'all are probably all aware of the whole. I know it's a little off topic, but the spacecraft that went by Pluto and everything, and it kind of brings up the idea of if they did discover life on another world, is it possible that it might be exactly this? Maybe bring about a Gate sort of style. Is it possible we might one day go there with a bunch of guns and they have spears and stuff? It's a huge possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the big gap in technology. I mean, of course, it's purposeful. I believe that the author is very right wing. I mean, you'll notice that we talk about when the name of the series, the JSDF, goes there. And in reality, if something like this happened due to the agreement with the U.S. and Japan, it would actually be kind of a joint force, if anything. Um, but he kind of tries to avoid, I guess, explaining the scenario too much by saying that because it's based in Japan, it's an extension of the territories. They don't need any U.S. involvement in that. Uh, without going too much into politics or anything, it has been a big movement of, I guess, people who want the U.S. out of Japan militarily recently. I believe they're more of kind of like the older generation people anyway. Not really the younger generation. They kind of just don't care because they like the growth and culture that being dependent on the U.S. military has given them the ability to have. Um, but I can't help but feel that Gate, and in a sense, a lot of shows like it that have been coming out, uh, are kind of like have the subliminal message like that.
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly. But one thing I have noticed is a good chunk of today's actions, I guess, that kind of brings about the frowning of the American military in Japan. It's mostly due to people who won't let the World War II legacy die, which I mean I can't blame them, but I mean if you hold on to a grudge for a long time, it's inevitable. But and another thing happens to be like sometimes a soldier or something will do something extremely embarrassing or uh, very scandalous even over there, and then it becomes a huge uproar. But yeah, I've noticed there's like a little bit of a subliminal thing there, but I don't think it hasn't been too bad. I was worried it was going to get bad, but it actually has a they kind of hinted at it, but they really haven't gone too far into it.
And they kind of subverted it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad they haven't been focusing too much on it. And like back on the whole one-sidedness of the battle, I thought that a lot of that was realistic. Well, there was one part that I didn't think was realistic, which may have been a scene that some of you guys recognize. In one of the episodes, one of the girls actually takes out a bayonet and she slices through all this thick steel armor. And now I don't doubt that you could kill someone with a bayonet, but I think that it wouldn't. It looks like it slices like butter in the episode, which I'm sure a real bayonet wouldn't do that for like steel armor, especially with chainmail underneath.
I would have to rewatch that. I can't recall that
Debate:
scene.
is it chain armor or is it like fully steel plate armor?
Well, usually a lot of people that wore plate armor had like chainmail underneath.
Well, okay, no, what I didn't hear if you said they were just wearing chainmail or
I
it
I
was
can't
under.
I can't remember. I think that was in the same episode that I watched, and I can't remember if she stabbed him or slashed him. But as far as armor physics go, if she just tried to pierce him, she'd be able to do it super fast.
Well, they have her bayonet break in the episode, so do you think that that realistically would have happened too? Today's what is it, manufacturing technology versus say
Would it have broke
that
against the plate?
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
I
Not a doubt
wouldn't
in my
doubt
mind.
it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know enough about manufacturing of
100%. It would either like yeah like completely break. No, it couldn't do anything. It would either like fold inward because of the metal that they use, or it would just break.
hmm.
Have you ever
Depending
found?
on. Go ahead, Philip.
Oh, sorry. Have you ever found yourself like whenever you say you're using like a common tool and you somehow just like I'll use a flathead for example. You're just like unscrewing something and it just something magically chips off, and you're like, whoa, like why did that happen? You know, I mean, like you'd be surprised how much like standard run of the mill, mass produced sort of things just randomly break, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just like, whoa, like why
Yep.
that you would think that stuff would have be a little more durable, but I don't know. I guess there's a number on that tool or something, and if it reaches zero, it cracks.
The durability has
Yeah,
worn
you
out.
didn't take it to the blacksmith for repair, so it broke.
Yeah, man.
That's how it works. Real life is an RPG as well.
Yeah, I can't help but curious about that. But another thing that I don't want to delve into any kind of trauma or anything, so stop me if I do, is where it seems to be a lot of military people. Maybe this isn't the standard, but it seems that way. Are really too into military-style games and movies, anime. But you would think that after being involved in real life, kind of like a real life military situation like that and on the front lines, or technically I wouldn't say you're on the front lines, but you would think you'd avoid kind of things like that because it's almost like playing a scenario of what can actually happen to you. So I mean, why do things like that draw you? At least in your case.
Well, I think it's based on, like you said, the whole scenario. There's a lot of troops that when they come home from war, they come back and they're more or less traumatized from maybe some of the things they either had to do or things they may have seen, and it's kind of the risk with the job, so to speak. But I personally, being in the Navy, I have yet to really experience anything like that. I'm not much of a first-person shooter either. Like Battlefield's the only game I've ever really played that's close to it. And I mean, there's a lot of people who like sit around and play Call of Duty for hours on end, and I'm just like whatever works, you know.
Mhm.
But like even I think it was The Lone Sniper, that movie that came out a while back. Like even at the end of that, like they go to like a shooting thing and they're just out there like shooting guns and stuff, even though yeah their legs are gone and stuff like that, but it's something that they still enjoy. Like it's not necessarily traumatizing, it's just something that they inevitably enjoy.
Mhm.
So I mean it varies from person to person.
Diesel, what episode did you watch?
2
you remember
weeks
the
ago.
number? Do you remember the number?
I don't. I just remember the episode itself. It was there was a group of marauders coming to overtake this kingdom, and the lead guy kept of that group kept talking about how this is going to be honorable battle and true combat and blah blah blah, and then the special
They just
defense
get wrecked. Yeah.
force shows up and just wrecks them, and it's just a massacre, and
Is that
then
the Bayonetta part?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
trying to look
also
at it so I can give like an actual opinion.
One of the sieges.
It's episode 2, I believe.
No, no, no. It's even farther than that. It's when they're traveling to sell the wyvern skills or whatever.
yeah.
Because I
You
see
sure
a
it's not
battle right here where people are in steel armor with spears.
Oh no, no. It's just his squad and the princess's squad. They're defending.
Ah, okay.
You
Yeah.
sure it's not episode 6? Like, do you remember if
That
the episode started off with a
that
bunch of
sounds about
heroes
right.
like coming in?
If it was 2 weeks ago, that's 6.
Yeah, that would be about right. That sounds about right.
Okay.
So,
Okay,
all right.
because I'm kind of clicking through it and I'm just trying to see if I can find
Yeah.
it.
Should we wander back to this one after we talk about a different one?
I mean, possibly. I know Makuto hasn't said much. Is there any of your thoughts on? What's your thoughts on Gates, Makuto, rather?
Can't you hear that
You talking about the
Makuto is
little
getting
girl in a maid's outfit?
he's getting the 935 to Yuma?
Well, I cannot hear him at all. What happened?
Or Philip, are you talking about the little girl with the scythe Bayonetta kind of looking thing?
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
It's a soldier. It's a short-haired girl
But
soldier.
Okay.
that
Oh,
that's
okay. Because
the
I was gonna say,
episode.
yeah, definitely that thing is going through all the armor.
All the armor.
That thing's going through all of it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's.
Okay, sure. We can segue back.
Oh, she pierced him with it.
Yeah, and she should.
He was
She
not.
should be-
That guy wasn't wearing armor though.
Was he? I was pretty sure she was piercing a guy with like plate.
She pierces a big guy, like a giant guy, but he's not wearing plate mail. That looks like leather. So maybe they follow realistic. Yeah.
But even if she was piercing a guy with plate, if she got in the joint, it's just over. So because she's using like real like
she stabbed him in the
tensile-
lower abdomen,
yeah.
which there's no armor there. That's joint. That's like in the middle of it. So yeah. It was a legit stab. You can see him dead on the ground where his plate is above his shirt. So
Yeah.
even with chainmail, Grant, yeah, it'd be a little weird, but it could go right through that. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So that's a legit stab. Yeah.
All right.
I found it. It looks pretty legit.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess I'll talk about one of the ones that I recently watched. Should I talk about the one from 2015, or should I talk about the one that I really like?
Gangsta.
Yeah, we could talk about both, but go ahead and do whatever one you want first.
Okay. Well, I guess I
really want to talk about Gangsta.
All right, well,
All
go
right,
ahead.
go ahead, Diesel.
Go
You
ahead,
want to?
Blackstar. Talk about
Okay,
your
so
Gangsta.
Gangsta is set, hang on, let me grab the name. In Ergostellum, I don't know if I'm saying that right. I could be destroying the name. I don't know how it's pronounced in English, or I'm just reading it. And basically, it centers
Ergostellum's
around,
fine.
yeah, it centers around Warwick, Nicholas Brown, Alex Benedito, and basically it's in Ergostellum there is a rule beyond Twilights. They cannot just get hired by anybody. To kill, they cannot kill people on their own will. They have to follow a set rule of laws.
Twilight? How does it play into the show?
A Twilight is someone who is, I believe not everybody can take Celeber and be a Twilight. I believe you actually have to like pass a test, don't you?
Okay, so hold on.
Go ahead.
Let's back up a bit. So in this sort of post criminal takeover city,
Yeah.
there are people who take a drug that gives them heightened
Celeber,
senses. Celeber being the name of the drug, that gives them heightened senses and allows them to do amazing things, and it also nullifies pain so that they can take some more hits.
To an extent. The only reason Nicholas is not affected by pain is because he overdoses on it.
Right.
The other little kid, which is like the only Twilight you actually see fight, besides the big guy, I don't want to give too much away.
Mhm.
He does feel pain. He says ow or ouch,
Right.
whatever he says. He does feel it.
So these people who take the drug are called Twilights, and they are sent out to do particular jobs for particular groups. The main character, Warwick, is one of these, and he works with his friend Nick, right?
No. Nick is the Twilight. Warwick is his master.
Other way around. I'm sorry, yeah. So Warwick has a Twilight named Nick, and they work as quote-unquote handymen. And they just take whatever jobs people give them to clean up the streets or kill a certain group of people or
to
whatever.
Get a hot plate of food. Everything. They take everything.
Anything that they need to in order to survive.
Okay.
So that catches people up to where you were talking, Blackstar. Go ahead.
All right. So basically, back to the laws. The laws are enforced by 4 groups of mafia, which those people. I don't want to give away too much because I know a lot about the series. Basically, there is a guild. The 4 groups are. I won't give away too much. There is a guild of Twilights, which they basically. I don't believe they're for hire, but they're run by Palki. There's another group of people who distribute the Celeber for the drug. That's run by the Amadio family. The Monroe family. See, I can't tell people it's so hard.
So basically, there's a Twilight.
There's Twilight rankings from D5. I want to say. I believe it does go to D5. There could be lower rankings. I have not seen one yet besides D5. And it goes all the way up to A0 as far as I'm known to right now, where we are at. And basically, based on these Twilight rankings, it's a rank of how strong you are. So, there's also that.
I feel like you're correct me if I'm wrong, guys. It feels like your intro to the series is kind of like all over the place. Like some of it has to do with if you know about the series, and some of it.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I wanted to kind of start off people in the right place. So that's basically what you need to know about the beginning is that the mafias of this town have kind of taken over street justice. They kind of rule everything. The cops are a neutral party in situations because they can't afford full-out gang warfare. So the handymen that take these jobs, sometimes they get hired by people on the street who just need some help. Sometimes they get hired by the mafia groups to do stuff against or with other mafia groups. And sometimes they get hired by the police to intervene where the police should but can't.
Yeah. Or to help on cases.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's the same thing, but yeah.
Yeah. So I think the cool thing about Gangsta is, for me, is that it is an action anime. It does first and foremost kind of highlight the cool shootouts and sword fights and whatnot. But the story is a very plausible idea of what happens when you kind of start letting things slide on a law enforcement standpoint. Like at first, it might seem just, oh well, we can't enforce everything. We'll let some things go, and before you know it, you're dealing with an entire city run by groups of mobsters. Yeah.
So what's the draw of this series for you guys, or what made you guys want to watch? Is it because it's like an action series, or?
Originally it was the action, but about 2-3 episodes in, the story really draws you in. It's actually not like, honestly, the protagonists in it are unique. Like Nicholas Brown, the guy who is a Twilight, the main character, that is one of the most unique main characters I've ever seen in any anime. I really like his story. I like his background. That's just one of the reasons I would suggest anybody to check it out just for that character alone. Warwick's background is crazy. It's kind of dark, really. It's like a dark action anime. Like,
What's the rating of this podcast? Are we trying to keep it PG, or can I say what I want?
Say what you want.
Okay.
that fucking ass.
What drew me into this series is when the prostitute who bit the dude's dick off. Like, like when that happened, that was the best for me. And what it was that she just like she was being abused. She was being forced into prostitution by a local criminal
Gang.
Yeah, gang basically, and she didn't like it, and so she kept fighting it and kept getting in trouble and getting abused for it further.
Barry was his name, yes.
Yeah. And so the first episode is the guys see her and they're trying to help her as best they can, but she's very withdrawn. And then they get a job from the police to take out Barry and every associate he has, including the prostitute. And they end up taking out Barry and all the other people, and then
they
keep the prostitute. They keep the prostitute according
Warwick
to.
claims her as property.
They claim her as a spoil of war, but then they give her a job answering
a place
phones.
To stay.
Yeah, just
Which,
they're just it's cool.
Yeah, go ahead. The reason why they gave her a job is because Nicholas, being the main character, this is why I really like him. He's deaf, can't answer phones, and Warwick has other jobs he does besides being a handyman as well. So
yeah. So I like.
You will find out if you go watch it.
Right.
Oh my god.
So basically, like, we don't want to give away too much. I mean, I feel like we already have, but
yeah, it's hard, like, explaining this anime to a certain detail with allowing somebody to, like, actually know about it without giving away too much, because, like, everything you say about a character, you'll be giving away to find out in the anime. Yeah.
Because it very much starts in media res, where you kind of you don't know what's going on at all.
Yeah,
you have no idea why this guy won't pick up the phone.
Yeah,
and you don't find out until partway through
the first episode, like the very end, and then they explain him, and it's like, oh snap, yeah.
So I mean it's a good show. It's got a lot of action. It's got a nice gritty dark story without being like Batman Dark Knight serious.
If you guys like blood, it's bloody.
Yeah.
Gore. Well, it's not like gory elfin lid, but or however you pronounce it, but
no, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like that, but it is bloody. So if you like a little blood.
Yeah.
I feel like it's one of those shows that gives a nod back to like 90s era type show.
And it is seinen, however, yeah. It is actually under the category of seinen. So I like seinen anime.
It feels like a 90s era anime.
I think that's true. I feel that
to a degree, yeah.
Well, one of the things that I find interesting about it, and my wording here might be a bit off, is the fact that the main female character, well, one, it doesn't seem like she's romantically involved with any of them yet. And, as much
Uh,
I don't think she holds romantic feelings for them at this point. Now, maybe like the kind of you're my savior type of feeling, but not necessarily romantic yet. And it might develop into that point. But I do like that it didn't start off with her like kind of being madly in love with either of them, and even for a few episodes, it was kind of like she was still kind of in shock with the events of episode one. But the fact that the main character is one of the main characters is a prostitute is just something that doesn't really happen in this medium, and perhaps maybe a taboo thing, like just because in general, anime is aimed toward a younger audience, so maybe that might not be, a topic that people like to touch on. The red light district in general is not a topic that's touched on a lot in anime at all. So much less being, the characters being heavily involved with it, and if they are, it's usually like a mafia member or something. So the fact of, and they're not really going to spoil or anything, but Warwick's profession and not Warwick's profession, is it Nick?
No, yeah.
That's Warwick's
would
profession. So Warwick's job and, of course, Alex's job. So with her job anyway, in particular being that prostitute or former prostitute, possibly, uh, it is it's very interesting that they're willing to touch upon those topics because I don't think that's something that anime likes to touch upon.
And you just brought up something that I was thinking about that I forgot to say. One of the things I do love about the show is that the characters are damaged and they don't try to magically whisk away their problems.
Nope.
Like Alex is traumatized after her time as a prostitute, and even though she's now living a fairly stable life and kind of getting used to returning to normalcy, she still feels it all the time, and she's still like hides from it and is scared of it. So it's very cool in that respect because it doesn't try to just say happy ending for you, good job, next episode.
No, and honestly, I feel like that's not even close to where the anime is even going. Like, I where we're at right now, it's gonna be a very shocking ending. I mean, I think we have 4 episodes left. I think it's a 12 episode anime, honestly. So, I mean, I don't see how a happy ending's relevant, but
Yeah,
Yep.
I don't see a happy ending incoming either.
Oh, for sure not.
so if you like upset animes, we're like Samurai 7. Oh my god, the worst ending for me. That's like the only anime I've ever cried over. Holy crap! Like that was just the worst ending possible for me, and it was one of my favorite animes. But I feel like it's like gonna be along that lines. That anime made me
Yeah.
a little bitch for about an hour. So
For sure. For sure.
if you
Yeah.
haven't seen Samurai 7, go watch that. You need to.
So, Makuto or Inky, I know you guys haven't said much. You might not have watched the series, but any of your thoughts on at least uh, in this medium portraying criminals as the main character, or in Diesel's words, damaged characters or anything like that?
Um, yeah, not really. I mean, I thought the anime was good. I'm not really watching it right now, uh, because it's part of our Sunday, or yeah, our Sunday anime, but I think we missed it last week. And
So
then,
what keeps you, other than having an event, a weekly event that has you watch it, what keeps you from just not wanting to watch it altogether? Like, is there any draw of the series for you?
no, not really. I mean, it's pretty good. Like I feel it's more like one of those shock anime just for shock's sake, you know,
Mhm.
um, where they make those super over the top animes that they know Americans are gonna like.
Yeah. I
Just
mean,
to
that's
make
spot
fun.
on. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean it's totally exactly what it needs to be.
no,
But
that's yeah.
I'm not really a fan of this kind of shows right now. And I know Blockade was kind of like that last season, but I don't know, something about that one I felt was a little more what I'm into right now. I'll probably watch Gangster when it's done, but I'm just not really into it right now.
That's legit.
I think
If
we're
people like adaptations from manga to anime, Gangsta is doing a wonderful job at that. if you care about the little things like that mangas bring to animes, that also does a great job of adapting it to it. So that's also something to look forward to.
I
And I
think that
believe the manga has 5 volumes already. So
yeah, I think one of the things is that Gangster and in a sense Blood Blockade, and there's a few other shows too this season, last and so on. Is
is
kind
Blood
of
Blockade Kenkai Sensen?
yes,
Okay, just
it's
making
kind
sure.
of a resurgence of shows that uh basically are I guess aimed more toward an American audience because I look at Blood Blockade and I also look at Gangster in the sense and it's not really. I don't think they're shows that would be inherently popular with the Japanese. Like they feel like shows that an American audience would appreciate more.
It's an
And
interesting thought. I don't think any culture can resist those heavy action gunfight type shows. Like they touch the heart of us all in some way or
Um,
another.
uh, to Kekai Sensen, I love the anime, the story at least, but I did not like the design, like the actual animation of it. I felt like it was Kill la Kill ish, and I dislike Kill la Kill's anime style. I don't know, it's just something about like the characters like that. It's not me, which really throws me off. I don't know.
okay, all right.
Okay.
I don't know how to explain it.
Before we segue into our next
Yeah.
one, is there any final comments? Anything you'd like to add about gang related or criminal related type of animes, Inky or anything?
Uh,
Well, to quote the Batman movie, no more dead cops. He should turn himself in.
yeah.
And to quote the original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, he stinks and I don't like him.
I
Okay.
got you
Well,
for 3 minutes.
All right, you haven't really talked much in that segment, Makuto. Why don't you get us our next topic?
okay. So I guess we're still talking about animation this season.
Yes.
We're just picking one, I assume.
One or two, and maybe talk about it.
Talk about it. Okay. I guess I'll just talk about the one that you wanted me to talk about, Laplace, which is the Edogawa Rampu anime. Um, I like it. It's pretty good. I
Whoa, whoa,
am a
whoa.
fan of
What is it
the.
called?
I call it Laplace.
Game of
I've
Laplace,
never heard of
full
it.
name.
Yeah, it's like Rampu, Laplace, something like that. But yeah, it's Edogawa Rampu kind of tribute. Um, it's not an actual. It wasn't actually a book or anything, but a lot of the stories that they touch are a lot
Well,
of the mysteries.
back off a moment here. Who's Edgar Rampu, and tell us about.
So Edogawa Rampu was I guess you could say like a writer, novelist, Japanese novelist that did mysteries back in like the 50s or something.
Is
I'm
he
not
famous
too.
for anything in particular that, or
He's
inspired anything in
also
particular?
uh, Conan Edogawa was named after him from one
Yeah,
of my all-time favorite anime, like Conan.
Detective Conan is the best.
Yeah.
All right,
So,
real quick, just so that this doesn't bother me, the name of the show, for those of you out there listening, are Rampo Kitan, Game of Laplace.
yeah,
And Rampo is the name.
yeah. I just call it Laplace. Not too big of a deal. Um, but I like it so far. But because of the nature of the main character, where he can't really see people unless he finds them interesting, it kind of takes the part of what I like about Conan, where you see everything that Conan sees, and if you know enough about what the case is, you can figure out who the bad guy is before the end of the episode.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
the only problem with Laplace is since you can't see the people, a lot of the times you can't figure out the mystery until he solves it for you because there'll be a lot of people where he'll, someone say something, but since he didn't find it important at the time, you couldn't see their face. Their face was blanked out.
Oh
Um,
man, but for a mystery, that's awful.
yeah. So it all, and then all of a sudden something else will happen, and then when he's talking about it later on, then the person's face would show up, and then he'd be like, "This is who did it," and you're like, well, how am I supposed to know? Like, there's no way for you to figure it out beforehand. Is the only problem with the show. But other than that, the mysteries are pretty good, um, and just the flow of the story, except for the friend. That his friend is annoying. Um, that is always like, no, don't do this, or anytime the main character wants to do something that he thinks is exciting, his friend's just like, no, you're gonna get something bad is gonna happen, and then nothing bad ever happens. He's just one of those characters that are just really annoying. You don't like. Uh, but other than
he's a
that,
Chucky,
yeah,
Chucky
always
Finster.
getting in the way.
Oh man,
Yeah,
So
yeah, Chucky from Rugrats. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, my thing about this series, which I mean, other than I feel like the mysteries, and I haven't watched enough Conan to know, and it might be something that's it'll end Conan a lot too. Is the mysteries seem to be very was it macabre in nature,
Macabre.
macabre, macabre in nature. At least so far. It might have changed, and I don't know if it's a lot like that in Conan either. If the mysteries are like that.
no,
Um,
Conan's are more because he does more like murder, just people like getting shot or a lot of what do you call it, locked room mysteries, stuff like that.
Yes,
Not
yes.
not so much the it turns this guy was torn up to pieces from some other guy or made
Yeah.
into a couch or something. Nothing like that.
Now, real quick on the background of locker room mysteries, I'm glad you mentioned that. My favorite detective show is not anime necessarily, but is Hercule Poirot, which in general, all the characters, all the players that could have possibly committed the murder are stuck in the same area as Poirot for the foreseeable future. There's no way for them to escape, to come up with a different alibi. Even if it goes over the course of a few weeks, they're trapped in a small town in England, so they just can't get away. Um, and that's the idea of a locked room mystery, is that you've got all the players are there and they don't have a chance to bury or hide evidence past the first couple minutes before people realize that something happened. And what makes Conan sweet on that mark is that it's very easy to, or it's not easy, but if you're smart, you can follow along and figure out who done it.
Yeah, that's my most favorite part of Conan
Yeah.
is being able to kind of look at the evidence and try to solve the mystery before they reveal it at the end of the episode. Because like you said, everyone's there. They do everything pretty much they can to make sure
Mm-hmm.
that you get all the evidence. Like you get everything, you can see it all.
one of the things that disturbs me about the series, and I don't know if it was purposely done, is that the main character is now people say that guys look like girls in anime, but I literally think that he was designed to look like a girl.
Well, I'm looking at the picture. I haven't actually gotten to see the show, but I don't know. It doesn't. I don't feel like he's that androgynous. Not as much as other things I've seen.
I don't know. I think it was like a big surprise to people when they found out. Oh, that's supposed to be a guy.
Hmm. I don't know. That doesn't. Although that never bothers me. It's just like, okay, whatever you say.
Yeah,
You can tell me he's a squid. I'll be like, all right. I mean, I don't see it, but whatever you say. He's a squid. He's a squid.
that's
Um,
all I have to say about that series, Vu.
Anything you want to talk about or that series has made you think of, or any topics regarding that?
Other than Conan, no.
Anything anyone else wants to bring about that series?
Conan is lovely. Everybody go watch Conan.
Yeah, great series. There's only 800 episodes too, so
Yeah, I know. It's real short. I mean,
800 episodes or 18 movies.
oh god, I really want to watch Conan now.
Yeah.
No, you don't. How do you even get time to watch that? You barely watch a 20. You barely watch shows that are a lot shorter than Conan.
Well, because I watch shows that I like watching, so like right now, for no reason at all, I'm on the second to last season of NCIS because a month ago I decided I was going to watch NCIS.
So, is there another show you want to talk about, Makuto?
Let me talk about a show. I got a show that I
Sure,
want to talk about.
sure.
Okay, so one of the shows, the new show that I want to talk about is a comedy. I want to talk about Himouto Umaru-chan. Um,
UMR?
yes, I want. I don't know why you guys keep calling it that, but okay.
You'll
I mean,
understand in another
You
episode.
catch that
it's
part of the
yeah,
series.
yeah. I'm not quite far enough, I think, to get that joke. But yes, so Umaru-chan, Himouto Umaru-chan, for those of you who are not fluent in Japanese, it means beautiful little sister Umaru. Um, and the story is about a young, I'd say, I guess, a young teenage girl, um, and the appearance that she puts out. She has two sides to her personality. Whenever she's outside with friends or students, other classmates, people that she wants to think of her as respectable, she's a very gorgeous, athletic, popular, smart girl who who's very nice to everyone and gives everyone a good time. And then she goes home, puts on a I want to call it a gerbil outfit, maybe a hamster outfit.
Hamster.
It's a hamster hoodie, and she just turns into this spoiled terror that has nothing better to do but drink soda and eat chips, play video games all night, and harass her older brother who works hard to keep her like fed and happy while at the same time trying to teach her to maybe grow up a little bit. one one reviewer mentioned that it was a boy's struggle to deal with the fact that the entire world thinks that his sister is adorable, and I really like that notion. It's super funny. I've watched a few episodes now, and the first few episodes are sort of warm up episodes, get to know each character through a series of episodic adventures. So each episode may have 4 or 5 things that happen in it, and they may be connected or they may not be, but they're all focused. The ones I watched were all focused around meeting a new character. So you got her older brother, who is a nice guy. He works hard. He spends a lot of time at work trying to raise his status and make money. And then he comes home and tries to take care of his sister, who is absolutely awful to him. And then she has a friend who lives in the same apartment complex as they do. What's her name again? Ebisa?
Ebina?
Ebina. Ebina. Ebina is your classic waifu material character. She's sweet. She's kind of nervous. She's ridiculously put together, and she happens to have a crush on Umaru's brother because he was the first person to look at her in the face when she showed up to Tokyo. So she's always finding herself in situations where he invites her out because it makes Umaru act like a person. And the more he invites her out, the more she feels like there may be something there. So it's really, hilarity ensues. And then I met a character that on the outward appearance seems to be cold and dejected to everyone, and turns out is so shy that she can only talk to children. So her relationship with Umaru is that she doesn't do well talking to Umaru in public, but when Umaru's at home, she thinks she's actually Umaru's younger sister because she acts like a little tyrant. so she can't quite figure out that it's not actually her. I like what I've seen of the show so far. It is just one of those feel good shows, kind of watch and laugh at the insanity of all of it. And the main character Umaru, when she's in her outside face, she's normal sized, and when she's going crazy and being a pain, she's like chibi. And it's a good time. I like it.
So what is the draw of this series for you? What makes you, when I know why it is for me, of course, because I think I'm the one that introduced it to you. But what makes you like this series?
I
Because
like the I like the characters. For comedy purposes, it's all about the characters. And the way the characters are set up have an interesting relationship. I remember times where my mom would be like, "Now be nice to your younger brother," to my older brothers, and I would just torment them all the time. I loved it, and so you kind of see that notion go through that through line. Um, and all the characters want to be connected to each other in one way or another, and they all have solid uh, states. Their personality does not change, and it's nice to have that in a comedy series.
now I have a special relationship with this series, and I feel like it mirrors a lot of my own real life with me and my little sibling, as you may know.
Delusional.
Well, and, a lot of that, without really going too much into my own personal life, is I feel like uh, kind of like the brother in the Umaru, I kind of have to give in a lot to my sibling, and maybe he doesn't have to give in, and maybe I don't have to give in, but it just kind of ends up that way a lot. So, uh, and that could just be why it just kind of touches the string with me. But besides that, because I don't know, I don't typically follow the episodic series that don't have like a central plot line. So yeah, it was kind of surprising to get into that. I do like I guess, her misadventures, so to say, that they portray. So
Yeah.
that is quite interesting as well.
Anyone else? What do you think of Umaru?
I'm a big fan of the show so far. Like you said about the episodic kind of all of them are kind of short. They're like what, like 5 to like 8 minutes. So when you're watching it and it keeps going from scene to scene, the show feels a lot longer um, than it actually is. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
like I feel like I'm getting a full show out of it. It's not like it started and I'm like, oh, it's over already.
Hmm.
But since so many things happen, I'm just like, oh, this is pretty good because
Yeah.
they're going from scene to scene really.
Another episodic comedy that did that for me was Daily Life of High School Boys. It's like I really feel like I'm getting my money's worth out of every episode.
Yeah, like there's a lot of character development going on, a lot of story, just a lot of different things. Um, since it's all just kind of random stuff. Um, and I was watching the what's it called, American Ninja Warrior. So I think I missed it. Did you mention the blue hair chick?
Oh no, I did not mention her. Go ahead and talk about her.
The crazy girl from her school that just always wants to beat her and stuff. I always
Yeah,
forget that girl's last name, but she has like the weirdest name.
I call her Sasuke.
Good name, good name. Good name. But
So
yeah, that chick is so crazy because I guess she just wants to beat Umaru at something, and she always falls short slightly.
I think one of the funny things about that though is that that girl's outer appearance is kind of what Umaru's soul is. Like like
Yeah,
her outside face is Umaru's home face.
yeah, very
With,
outgoing, very weird. Um, and she wears a different outfit than the rest of the school too.
Oh,
So
Tachibana, Silver
yeah,
Fox.
Tachibana, yeah, she's not wearing the same thing as
yeah.
everyone else.
She reminds me of Elsa. I mean, that's all I can think of. I'm like, who turned Elsa into an anime character? I mean, but yeah, Tachibana. My favorite part with her was probably when she was first introduced, because Umara's doing a math problem on the board, and she solves it, and everybody's happy and kind of claps for her. And then the girl just stands up and goes, "I will not be defeated by you at the midterms this next week." Ha 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 ha. And then the teacher's just like, "Tachibana, we're in the middle of class. We're
Yeah.
we're in a public place. Please stop doing that." As a
Yeah.
teacher, I can appreciate that, because you always got one person who's always got to make himself known every single time, and it's like, all right,
Disturbance.
it's like, you're up here. I need you to be down here.
Yeah.
Once you crank that down to a 2, in fact, maybe a 0, just don't talk for the rest of the time.
Yeah.
But the show in general reminds me of Switch Girl, um, where just the character was when she's in her regular life, or when she's at school and stuff, she's um, kind of the same as Yomar, but then when she gets home, she just kind of lays about and is very lazy. But I don't think she has a brother in that series, so you don't get
Mm-hmm.
that kind of dynamic. But it's one of those, or one of those shows where it's like a random person comes to live at their house.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, So, but I haven't. I know it's a manga, but I haven't read the manga. I've only seen the live action drama. So, um,
Well, that sounds awesome.
yeah. But it's called Switch Girl. It's got 2 seasons. It plays pretty much the same way. But I found the show pretty humorous,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of reminds me of Umaru-chan.
Yeah. Okay. Um, does anyone else have anything to add regarding crazy antics of this kind of show or anything?
Well, since you've been asking me to talk about, you've been asking us to explore topics that the show reminds you of, I feel like code switching is a pretty useful topic here. For those of you who don't know what code switching is, it means when you're with a different group of people, you change your mannerisms, your language, your behavior to fit that situation. Everybody does it, and it's a question of whether that makes you fake or not. Um, people have that issue. They reach that problem when they hit high school a lot, because your high school persona with your friends is very different than the way you'd act at home, and it's very different than the way you act in a classroom when your teacher's watching. And so people who have drastically different code switches during those time periods, a lot of students will try to make them feel like they're fake, or they're not acting like the person they are. They're not being them true selves. And the truth is that the outside Umaru and the inner Umaru are both halves of the same person. It's not that Umaru is being fake necessarily when she's with her friends. It's that this is the person she wants to be when her friends are around. And so sometimes she has to ease out of that skin, and so it's not always easy for her, or pleasant for the people who have to deal with her when she's not that person.
Yeah, which is both.
You know,
They do a good job of it too. Like there'll be some scenes when she's out with her friends, and she'll she'll eat something that she really likes or something. You can kind of see in her head her other self reacting the way she
Mm-hmm.
wants to react. Um, and then it zooms out to where she's just her other self, and then she's just being polite and stuff about it.
yeah, I feel like they, if anyone has ever heard or watched it or read it, His and Her Circumstances, a very old series, um, I think by Guy Next actually, uh, does touch upon something like that, where the main character is code switching all the time. But I feel, and in the show, it kind of did bring up an interesting point that a lot of it is, or that makes me think of now anyway, and a lot of it is. that maybe you're fitting that ideal or whatever that people think of you because people have projected that image to you, so you want to make sure that you live up to that expectation, so to say, so you keep up the act, so to say.
Well, most definitely, but that's the question: do we treat it as an act, or do we treat it as the way she actually is with that group of people? And so I'm wanting to watch more episodes of it because I want to see what happens when uh, Weird Umaru and Outside Umaru have more conflicts. Like maybe if she meets a guy or something, like how those are going to be affected by that problem.
Right. Yeah. That would be interesting.
Yeah, but yeah, that's my Umaru rant. I'm enjoying it. I say, if you like that sort of family comedy show, go watch it, have fun.
Hmm.
Don't think too hard about it. That's the one problem I think people are having right now. Uh, certain Sometimes people in our group don't always like particular anime, and it's just that I feel like they're thinking too hard.
Yeah, you don't want to just relax when they watch
Yeah,
it.
they don't want to enjoy it, so they find reasons not to enjoy it, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. But if you do enjoy this kind of anime, I do suggest go check it out.
Okay, so anyone else have anything to add to that topic or anything? Okay, I guess I will go into my first series. So my main series I want to talk about today is a little anime called Charlotte, which is I forgot what I think Jun Maeda is the guy's name. He's the writer of it. And those who know that name might realize that he's the person who uh, does a lot of work for the Studio Key, and um, he writes a lot of the scenarios. So things like shows like Clanad, Canon. He wrote Angel Beats, which is probably the most popular one in English, and Little Busters. So it does quite a lot of series. A common trend about his series is they're pretty deep drama type stories, or they've developed into those kind of more emotional roller coaster type of shows, and a lot of kind of twisty things that happen too. But he's a really good writer, and basically is what I'm trying to say. So Charlotte is a show about it follows this guy who has a superpower where he can control somebody for 5 seconds. And you notice a trend in this show that most of the characters have superpowers, but they all have like some type of limit or negative aspect to them, which I really enjoy, and I want to go into more of that. But basically, he has this ability to control someone for 5 seconds, and he uses it to climb the social ladder at school and become this, like awesome straight A student, popular kid, because he already kind of has good looks anyway, and which is I thought was surprising, because typically, even if the character is drawn to have good looks, a lot of the other characters will treat it as he was just average looking or she's just average looking. So I did find it interesting that they portray him as actual good looking as well. So he has looks and he has a brain supposedly, uh, but all of it comes apart, and he ends up joining this school for like special powers. Like I wouldn't say it's like X-Men or anything, but because not all the kids in this school have special powers, but supposedly you lose your special powers after you kind of grow up, so get into your college years or whatnot. So it's kind of one of those like Chunbyo things, um, where it's like you have this syndrome for in middle of high school, and then you just kind of grow out of it. And the whole point of the school is that to take people who are abusing their powers and won't stop using them or can't be trusted to stop using them, and have them be there until they lose that power, because they don't want them to become dependent on it. Because if you become dependent on a power, of course, then you'll have troubles in your adult life because you won't have that power anymore. So it goes into a lot of character backstories of him and the other members of the class that he's part of. And he ends up joining the student council which is kind of like an enforcement division that goes around gathering these people. And yeah, it's been a pretty interesting series so far. I'm not really gonna spoil it, but the last couple episodes have really changed the tone of the series. A lot of big events happen, and you just things that just came out of nowhere. It feels like, but makes sense where you wouldn't just say, "Oh, they just pulled it out of their ass" type of deal.
So are we talking about a Madoka type shift from where 0 to dark in 3 episodes, or?
Yeah, I would say it's a Monica type shift, but I don't think it's a deconstruction of the genre like what I feel Monica is.
Yeah, yeah.
But one of the
Well,
things I
I guess
really
you could say the guy was true to his writing style, can't you? Because doesn't something like that happen in a lot of his um, shows, like Clannad and stuff like that?
Yeah, I guess, yeah, you could say that if you look back at like, and I don't know how many of you guys have maybe seen Angel Beats or anything, or any of his shows, but there is a tend to be a dark shift that, I guess he tries to shift around, and a lot of the endings, I guess you could interpret as being a happy ending depending on how you look at it.
That's always fun.
Uh,
It could be happy ending if you're a sadistic bastard.
I mean, if you like this character, he got a happy ending, not everyone else though. So, yeah, but one of the things that the show really makes me think of is superpowers and because a fun game that I see a lot of people do, especially around a lot of when a new like a Marvel movie comes out, is kind of like, oh, if you they ask the question, if you had one superpower, blah blah blah, what would it be? And we always kind of think of these limited, limitless abilities and things, but I feel like it puts superpowers in a grounded light and for example, his ability to take control of someone. All right, well, that could be pretty much abused and overpowered, and it is pretty abusing and overpowering, but it's limited to 5 seconds, so there's a lot of negatives to it. And I mean, there's also a girl who can turn invisible to only one person, which, I don't know how useful that would be. And then a guy who can run really fast, but he can't control when he stops. Like he can stop like maybe 10 seconds before he actually stops.
Well, I think they explain it as teleport in the show.
I think he likes to say it as teleport, but I guess the way they animate it makes it look like he's just running really
Yeah,
fast.
that's what I felt like too when I saw it. Like it just feels like
So,
he's running really fast, but he can't stop, which makes sense because you're running really fast. But he explains it as he's teleporting, but he can't stop teleporting.
so he overshoots his mark.
Yeah,
Is that what you mean?
like wherever he comes out, he's still the momentum from going from one place to the other is still there. So
Oh, I
when he
see.
comes out of teleportation, he still has the momentum, and he has to stop himself.
I see.
But he can't. He just keeps going. Yeah. So
Yeah, he's
he
got
has a lot of
he's
body
got to
momentum.
slow down. Yeah,
Yeah.
I see.
But
Yeah, so
they animate it like it looks like he's just running really fast.
Right, right.
But he explains it as teleportation. So.
I see.
and that could be just so with that visually it'll be easier for everybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that idea is very interesting because, and I don't read enough comic books to know that if they really do that in any comics so far, I'm sure. Because there's really no idea that's truly original. Um,
Well, yes, most superpowered people from various comic book worlds have downsides to their powers. Their pro usually comes with a fairly big con.
well, see, that's the thing. Maybe, and I'm not too much into the superhero stuff in American culture, but maybe as someone who hasn't delved too deep into it, I don't see a lot of cons. Yeah, okay, we see the kryptonite thing with the Superman. But like for example, Spider-Man, I don't really see a con with that. I really don't see a con with Thor, Captain America, and a lot of the common superheroes nowadays.
See, I feel like that's probably because you're very in a movie standpoint. So, like one of my personal favorites is The Flash, which is very similar to the teleport guy that you were talking about. Uh, for those of you who need the knowledge of it, the Flash gets his super speed from an entity or energy that is called the Speed Force. He taps into the Speed Force, and it allows him to run at super speed. There's two downsides to his power that are really important. One is that he needs to have something to run on. He has to have the ability to run in order to run fast. So if the road gets covered with ice, or there's like a crack in the road or something, he could seriously damage himself tripping over a crack in the sidewalk. Like it's a big deal. And the other big thing is that the Speed Force accelerates his metabolism, so he has to eat constantly. Like, he eats a ridiculous amount of food.
Like Goku-sized meals.
Way almost bigger than Goku-sized meals. There's one funny episode where he goes someplace and he orders 100 cheeseburgers, and then it's like, I'll be right back, and he disappears and comes back having beaten some villain, and he's like, where's my cheeseburgers? They haven't gotten a real chance to make 100 cheeseburgers yet, but he needs them.
Yeah.
And then there's also a psychological aspect to the Flash where he's always worried that at some point the Speed Force is just going to kind of take over, and everyone is going to seem like they're going in slow motion, and eventually he'll go so fast that time will essentially stop. So everyone will live out their lives not knowing the Flash anymore because he's stuck in this accelerated state. And that's usually more of a mind game than anything, but those are all three severe downsides to the power of super speed.
Yeah, well, I guess maybe in a lot of the just the open fiction that they show to people who aren't too into it, it doesn't show too many of the downsides.
Very much so. Very much so.
So I feel that since Charlotte is considered one of the big name shows this season, and since it is a big name show, I was kind of surprised that it really touched upon that, because Japan has done superhero shows, and there are actually 2 or 3 shows I think they partnered up with Stan Lee, for example, to do, and they don't really touch upon a lot of the weaknesses of heroes in those either.
So what is when it comes to the show, what am I looking for in order to really enjoy this show?
I think if you just I think if you just like a good storyline or a good drama, it'll be a good show for you. I mean, the superhero thing is kind of to, I guess, draw people who are kind of into that, or maybe even be kind of like an interesting little thing that's there, like a little add-ons to the show, for example. I got into the show mainly because I like the guy's writing style. Now, um, mind you, of course, every show that he's ever done, they always introduce oh, this guy is a good writer, blah blah blah, and of course, I had to enter at some point. So the first show that I watched with him, I believe, was Clannad, and that was not the first one that aired. I think Canon and Air and all that aired before that, but um, I actually had not known about his earlier works, and I was oh okay. I guess people say he's a good writer. I'll give this show a shot, and it's just one of those shows that turns out to be better than expected. It's just oh, okay, well, that's an interesting writing, the way he does it. Just because the things aren't always the way you expect them, and I feel like this saying is said a lot when people say that. You expect the story to end a certain way, but then it doesn't, or it might end the way that you expected, it does not play out the way that you expected.
All right, right on. What do you think, Inky? Is it worth watching?
Well, I mean, I guess I would have to actually watch it. I mean, one of the things I like to look for in a show would be, I like to see a constant flow of the plot along with a good bit of action to go with it. Uh, Also music, of course. Music's always nice. But like just taking that part out of there, like I might receive a lot of flack for saying this, but it was one of my biggest drawbacks of trying to watch Dragon Ball Z was the fact that it was you could skip 10 episodes and you would still be like, "Oh, here we are. The plot hasn't changed at all." And so and then like after that skip another 10 episodes and okay, here we are. The plot has changed a bit, but I know what's going on. And that doesn't really happen too much with a lot of anime these days. But what might end up happening is a anime might end up rushing its seasons. Like I felt the second season of Code Geass was extremely rushed compared to the first season, and I really liked Code Geass, but the it was just rushed, and I felt well there was a lot more you could have gotten out of that, but yeah, you kind of kept the plot sort of going, but you could have added a bit more instead of just kind of having. You could have taken out maybe one or two of the certain fights and just tried to incorporate everybody in there instead of rushing it so quickly. And that was one of my other things with the second season of Log Horizon was you. There was a. I was skipping through so many episodes of it that I could actually still be so caught up with the plot because they would only have maybe 1 or 2 minutes in each episode where it felt like there was progression. And instead of just like, oh, we have to prepare for this festival and oh, we got to prepare for that festival. And it's like, okay, that's nice and all, but like, come on, like I kind of want to see something happen here. I mean that's just something I look for. It's just constant progression.
Fair, totally fair. All right, who's next?
I mean, I can keep going.
I'll go for it.
Okay. Well, not about Charlotte. And we might change the format of these going forward. It might be different every time, honestly. Uh, so, uh, I guess I'll touch upon the show a little bit, but uh, also another show I want to talk about is Overlord. Now, I don't know enough people have watched it or anything, but first I'll give a little bit of background. Overlord is about this guy who uh, he's playing like a lich character, and then he's in this game. Of course, he's like at this point the leader of a guild, and the MMO he's playing is about to end. And okay, the MMO he's about to play is about to end, and then it counts down to zero, and he thinks it's gonna log him out, forcibly log him out, but then it keeps him logged into the game. So part of that, and then he finds out that all the NPCs, because he's like in this player-built fortress or whatever, so all of his NPCs and stuff that his other guildmates had created become real in a sense, because he's essentially the game world becomes a real world. So not necessarily that he's transported into the game, but just that he is transported into another, looks like kind of like a dimension that just has his game characters, because it's actually besides his little fortress, the other characters outside of his NPC characters that he and his buddies created are is actually a whole other world. So it's another, I guess, twist on the trapped in the game genre, but it's really not trapped in the game genre. More like kind of whisked to another world, Fushigi Yugi type of deal. But except
Ooh,
for this time,
mysterious play.
except for this time, he actually aims to be, I guess, an evil overlord because he's this lich and he is overlording all these subordinates. And the big common trend is that everyone is not human. All his subordinates aren't human. He's not human. Most of them view humans as lower life forms. And a big theme throughout this series is him trying to cope with, I guess, losing his humanity because he feels that as he's being a lich, he's slowly losing part of his humanity, becoming kind of more colder and colder, and that could be because he's trying to, like you were saying there, live up to the expectations that his NPCs, now real characters, are trying to portray him as like this evil, all supreme being that's, an overlord to everybody. Uh, so there's a lot of interesting things there. The traveling to another world, the whole I love the world building and kind of a lot. There's actually a lot of politics that come into play as well, and how he's trying to keep a low profile. It's not much of a spoiler, but later on you find out that the players that because he tries to do things to let other players know that he is there, and that he's actually a that he got transported into the game to see if anyone else got transported. But he finds out, and it's not too big of a spoiler. I don't think the anime is going to touch upon it because it's actually based off a light novel, which we'll talk about that. Uh, the light novel adaptations is that he is actually like the fourth or third set of a player that has been transported into the world, and like the world gods, so to say, were actually originally players, and then all like the mythic beings in the history of that world were players. So he's not the first player to be transported, and other players have been transported, even though the game ended at the same time, but they all were transported in different parts of history and made a different mark in history, like either being gods or heroes, and just had these ancient weapons and stuff. Because that's how he notices some similarities with the world in the game world. Because like say the magic system has like some of the similar spells. Of course, the spells he has are more powerful, more like would be considered like pure or primal level of a spell, whereas the actual populace has this kind of basic rudimentary level of that spell. So whereas like say like a fireball that he casts would be like a primal fireball, they have like just like this weak basic fireball that nowhere near comparison.
Yeah, I watched one episode of the show, and I saw that sort of in there. He was hiding amongst humans trying to be part of a guild in order to make some money so that they can do stuff. And a fight breaks out, and somebody's potion gets taken, and it's like a regular blue potion or something. I don't remember exactly, but it was a low level potion. And so he gives her a potion that he had, and it's way better. Like, it's obscenely better, to the point that it catches the attention of the alchemists in town. And so that idea uh, is a big deal, and it seems like a follow through in the show.
Yeah, and there's like little hints like that that I guess that he does a mistake on that shows other people that he's more than he lets on. Like that potion, I believe, the purity was higher than anything that anyone thought possible.
Yeah, yeah.
So he's kind of like a cheat level character. Um, And you could say that in a lot of these trapped in another world things, the character is usually a cheat level anyway, or may not know it, but are cheat level, um, in a sense. So I really like that series. I guess I like this genre, though I feel like I shouldn't because it's becoming too mainstream with Sword Art and Log Horizon is slowly becoming a mainstream show as well.
Sword Art, Log Horizon, and in some respects, No Game No Life follows the same rules. And
Yeah, I feel like it's become a mainstream thing, and I'm not necessarily one who avoids mainstream, but mainstream kind of gives us the ear that you shouldn't like it. Um,
Is it the point of it being mainstream means it's a good anime and everyone loves it?
yeah, I mean, yes, but like also I get that idea too, where it's if you take an idea and it's new and it's fresh, and then you're like, okay, well, I like this. I'd like to see more things like this. But you don't want it to saturate the market so bad that you hate it. And like I was not a huge fan of Sword Art Online, and I watched Sword Art Online right around the same time that Log Horizon first came out, and I was just like, Log Horizon is clearly the superior of these two. Same notion, but Log Horizon is doing it better. And then No Game No Life I watched and I absolutely adored. And I saw Overlord and I was like, okay, this is the Log Horizon thing again with a slightly different twist. Now, is it enough of a difference to keep watching? I think so.
I believe it's because it has a big. It's they pushed that it has a lot darker tone, and it does, because you don't really see, like, death isn't really a factor in Log Horizon.
Right.
I mean, you learn later on that it does do things, but it's not really, uh, it's not a big thing. Whereas death in this world is permanent, as it hinted out, like where I spoiled there, people have been transported through different history and they became like gods and things. Well, they disappeared because they died. So death is kind of more permanent in that sense.
Right. Right.
So, I mean, the topic that this makes me think of, and we're going to see the trend more and more, I believe, is that light novel adaptations. Now, you could take this as, but a lot of people can see this as either the anime industry is running out of ideas, but then you got shows like Charlotte and whatnot, where he's willing to do an original series, and people are willing to bet on that original series selling well, hence give it funding and whatnot. But that's just because he's a well-known writer, and his series have been traditionally good sellers. But light novel adaptations, there's been a big influx of them lately. Um, and there's always been a manga. There's always been a bunch of manga adaptations, but light novel adaptations seem to be on the rise, and light novels involving trapped in a game world in general seem to be on the rise as well. If you're talking about light novel topics, so I think it's gonna continue, and part of that is because I think that the series serves as kind of advertisement for the novel sales, because maybe the series isn't expected to break even because the cost of animation is so high. So maybe if they can increase the volume sales enough, it'll be good because the publisher is the one who generally produces it anyway. Uh, so it acts like an advertisement for the show itself. And a good example of this would be Campion, which I don't. I really like the show, but I feel like it took a lot of liberties away from the novel. Now that I've actually read part of the novel, it rushed a lot of things, and just to get to more action scenes. But in a 12 episode frame, you might be forced to do that. And there's a lot of uh, I feel like there was a lot of missed opportunities with that show, but it did do what it was intended to do, which was make it sell more novels. Um, but yeah, there seems to be a lot more adaptations based on novels and these days, and I wonder if that's a sign that the industry is running out of ideas and they need to take proven ideas, or ideas that have established a couple volumes worth of sales rather than attempt something new.
Okay, well, I think that people have been arguing the has the industry run out of ideas thing since the industry started. So, I mean, it's there was a philosopher a long time ago who said something like everything that is to be everything that can be created has already been created. But that's not true. Like, we run into this issue a lot, especially, I feel like it's almost an American mindset more than anything, that we have to believe that whatever's happening currently is the last new thing to be. Is that things aren't going to get any better or more different or more creative than they've been up to this point. And the industry's not out of ideas. The industry is capitalizing on ideas that exist. When people stop watching that kind of show, they will move on to a new idea. And and especially right now with I feel like the highest influx of man children that we've ever had. Cashing in on nostalgia works really, really well. And so that's why out of nowhere DBZ comes back, and out of nowhere we get live action movies based on 40 to 60-year-old comic book characters. And we get stuff based off of 90s television shows and 80s television shows that were super popular with our generation as kids, because we're willing to pay to feel that nostalgia again.
Yeah, I've noticed a big influx of that, which I try to avoid. I always kind of have a hatred for it now, just how many people are like just kind of stuck in nostalgia. Because a lot of it, you see a lot of people argue about being kind of like living in the past, and realistically, we probably do live in the past a lot more than we'd like to admit as a society. But um, yeah, I guess it really bothers me that so many people go out of their way to do it.
Hmm. Well, I don't feel like to them they are going out of their way. To them, they're just pushing familiarity. Like, we have friends who want to go to the same restaurant every single time we go out. And that's okay, but, some other friends of ours want to go to a different place every time because they want to try something new and different and out of the ordinary. So, is it worse to seek comfort and stability than it is to seek adventure and new things? No. It's just a way that we approach things. And so some people love that in their entertainment as well. So the powers that be are capitalizing off of that. What do you think, Makuto?
Sounds good.
Yeah. What are you doing?
Watching Seinfeld.
That's what I thought. Watching Seinfeld. Right.
All right, I guess I say something about this. Um, yeah, I feel as a lover of nostalgia myself, um, I feel that yeah, it makes you feel good. You don't have to think too much about it. You've already seen it, it's something that you're familiar with, so it's just easier to enjoy it, or it's something that you're going to enjoy, rather than something new that you haven't seen yet. You kind of on the fence. Do you want to waste your money onto this? Is it going to be worth it? Is the payout going to be okay? Um, and like you said, I think they're capitalizing on that kind of feeling, especially since we're in this moe thing right now in anime. Like that's not going to go away until people stop collecting waifus and you know doing all that stuff. It's because they're making a lot of money on it, and they've got to eat too, so they got to
Yep.
make the stuff that makes money. And then when it stops making money, then like you said, they're going to come up with some other new thing that people are going to be attached on, and then that's going to get run through the wash, until that stops making money.
Hmm.
So I don't think we're out of new ideas. I just feel like the ideas that we have aren't broke yet, so we're not gonna fix it
Right.
because
Real
there's no
quick,
need.
Makoto, define moe for those people out there who don't know.
Moe is I don't think actually understand the term, but from my understanding, I think of moe as like kind of how the kind of cutesy characters that are um I don't know, very excited, and the shows are just kind of colorful and light. They're I would say they're mostly like the high school shows where nothing really happens all episode, but all the characters are all waifu material. Um,
I would say you're very much true there. Moe is a style is a type of girl that Japanese anime tends to exploit, which as he said is waifu material. That is a good marriage material woman. They're sweet, they're kind, they're excitable, they like to laugh, and they enjoy your company almost above all other things, and that's their entire being.
yeah,
They don't necessarily strike out to be independent or to to set themselves apart from the crowd. They're perfectly content with the fact that you like them, and that's enough.
Right.
So basically, like an otaku's ideal woman.
Depending on where you want to go with that statement. I'm scared to ruffle otaku feathers because depending on what kind of otaku we're talking about, they might show up outside my door with their dakimakura and try to beat me with it.
Yeah. But yeah, I just feel. I mean, as a fan of what's going on, I don't really care until. Then if they do change it and whatever they change it to is better, and I latch onto that too. I mean, it's whatever. But I'm enjoying what's on right now, so I'll enjoy it until I don't.
And that's the important part is
Yeah,
as long
I don't
as
have a problem with that, you know.
yeah, try not to find flaws with things that you're enjoying.
Yeah,
I guess it's because I'm always kind of I want to keep expanding horizons and shows and everything else. I will go back and rewatch shows that I don't like, and typically that's in the case of trying to get someone else to show someone else why this show should be appreciated and so on.
Sure, sure. All right. So, do we want to talk about another one, or are we feeling it's getting sort of wrap uppy? I think right now.
yeah. How
Uh,
long have we been doing this for? What time is it?
It's almost 2 hours long.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, it's kind of
I
long.
guess we can wrap up if anyone has any other comments or anything to add to it.
Okay.
Well, we lost half our people, right?
Yes, we did. Yeah.
Well, that's why we always start with a lot of people because we know a lot of them aren't reliable.
Well, it's also back behind the scenes. We started at 9 p.m. on a Sunday night. A lot of people have work on Monday morning, including myself. So, okay, so quick endpoint things. Any anime that we haven't talked about yet that you guys suggest people to try to catch up on or to try to get started on?
I'd say third season of Working is out right now. Really a fan of that series. Go ahead and watch that. Um, Man, I always forget the shows I'm watching. Oh, the School Live. Is that what it's called? Um, where the girls are stuck in the middle school or the school. I think they're in high school, but it's like a zombie apocalypse.
It's
Oh
happening
yeah, yeah.
around them, yeah. Gakko
Yeah,
Garashi.
yeah, Gakko Karashi. The main character really annoys me in that show, but other than that, it's pretty good.
I want to start that one. I do. Uh, my quick one would be Food Wars is on its second season. It is super fun to watch. Quick story about a boy who's trying to raise up ranks in the culinary world has joined a special school for it with cutthroat competition.
Yeah, highly recommended. Very good.
Super fun. Super fun.
I guess my recommendation, and I'm not really thinking too much about it right now, it'd probably be Classroom Crisis. I mean, a real quick thing about that is it's about a bunch of kids. Well, I won't even say it's kids, but this class in space that's part of this company. So it's not really like a normal classroom, but this section of this company in space that's trying to develop a rocket. Uh, and the funding and a lot of the corporate matters that they go through, and there's a lot of interesting things there. Uh, the thing I will say about it is that it was advertised a lot as a very moe show that follows a lot of the high school students. Now, though it does have the high school students, it's one of the few shows I've ever seen where maybe they falsely advertise for just to get people to start watching it, but it doesn't follow necessarily the high school students as the main characters. I feel like the main character is probably the teacher, um, with the students just being there to kind of add on to his growth.
Yeah,
So
they advertised the Moe, but then um, it ended up being more serious, kind of.
yeah, it became a lot more than it let on.
Yeah,
So I think
Okay.
that's
still
a very
good.
interesting
Still
show.
good though. Still good. Definitely worth watching.
All right. I think that's fair enough.
Okay, guys. So this has been our first anime cast. We might change the format around a little bit. We don't know how many or the frequency of these that we'll be doing, but we're always new, open to ideas, especially about like talk shows and whatnot, because they're always kind of fun to do. So, do you
Hopefully
guys
we can
have
get
any?
solo next time.
Yeah, if you guys have any, comments or anything you'd like us to add or do, please go ahead and let us know. And yeah, this has been Ash from Edge and Goddess. Thanks for
Diesel.
watching,
Makuto,
and
peace out.
we will see you guys next time.